Come on in the kitchen and welcome back to Let's Get Cooking. It's your girl Rashida, and I'm going to share with you these amazing banana chocolate chip pancakes. But first, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get ready to cook. For these once again amazing pancakes, I'll be using some flour, baking powder, baking soda, some sugar, buttermilk, bananas of course, chocolate chips of course, some melted butter, some eggs, a little bit of vanilla. Let's get started. And this should take less than 30 minutes, y'all. Okay, I want to start off with my dry ingredients, and that is 2 cups of flour. To the 2 cups of flour, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half teaspoon of baking soda and a pinch of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm just going to whisk that together. So that's the dry ingredients. Want to definitely mix this well just to make sure all the ingredients are incorporated and mixed, distributed evenly. Then I'm going to use a slightly bigger bowl for my wet ingredients. So I'm going to set the dry ingredients to the side, and I'm going to start mixing the wet ingredients in a separate bowl. In this bowl, I'm going to go ahead and crack my eggs. I'm using 2 eggs, and you want to definitely make sure your wet ingredients are at room temperature. So these sat out a couple hours before I decided to make the pancakes. So I have 2 eggs at room temperature. You can mix them in a separate bowl and put them in here just to make sure you don't get any shells. But I just cracked my eggs in this bowl, and I'm going to whisk those very well. Make sure they're mixed well, and then I'll be adding in a half teaspoon of vanilla. While I'm mixing my eggs, let me just tell you how light and fluffy and moist these pancakes will turn out to be. If you have any basic pancake recipe, I always add bananas to it. If I have some ripe bananas, it's always good to add fruit. You can add blueberries. You can add several things to bananas just to enhance the flavor, just to take them up a notch. Today we're doing banana chocolate chip pancakes, and they are amazing. Okay, I added in the vanilla. Now I'm adding in 2 cups of buttermilk, 2 1/4 cups of buttermilk to be exact. And my buttermilk also is room temperature, so it sat out for an hour or so to bring it down. 2 1/4 cups, and that's just right. I had 2 1/2 cups, but I only used 2 1/4 cups of that buttermilk. And I just want to mix these very, very well. So I have the eggs, the buttermilk, the vanilla at this point for my wet ingredients. Next, I'll be mixing in the butter, the mashed bananas. Let's talk about the bananas for a minute. I took 2 ripe bananas, just mashed them up in a bowl with a fork. They'll look just like this. And I want to just you want to add your bananas to the wet ingredients. I melted 3 tablespoons of butter, set that to the side, let it cool a bit because you don't want to put hot butter into the batter. It'll make everything curdle. So I melted those 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, and I let it cool just for about 15 minutes before I mixed it in. And once again, I just want to mix this liberally, mix it well, make sure that everything is incorporated. And that's the wet ingredients. It's really simple. Like I said, we can get this done less than 30 minutes. To the wet ingredients, I'm going to add back in the dry ingredients. Oops, there was a little snag, and I remember that I left out the sugar at the beginning when I mixed the dry ingredients. So I'm just adding in those 3 tablespoons of sugar at this point. Thankfully, I remembered before I added in to the wet ingredients, added the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. I'm just adding that sugar because you do want the sugar. And I'm just going to mix that up real quick with my spoon. That's good to go. Now I'm about to add the dry ingredients to my wet ingredients. So my flour mixture into my buttermilk egg mixture. Now once I dump the flour into the bowl, one thing I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to add that half a cup of chocolate chips. They are semi-sweet chocolate chips. I prefer semi-sweet as opposed to milk chocolate. Milk chocolate's a little too sweet to me. I like that little hint of bitterness that the semi-sweet chocolate chips give. But if you have milk chocolate, by all means use those. Or you can even use bittersweet or dark chocolate chips if you like. So I added in my chocolate chips, and then I am not going to overmix this. I'm going to mix it just until the dry ingredients are combined with the wet ingredients. Then I'm going to stop. The one thing you don't want to do is overmix the batter. That will make your pancakes dense. To keep them light, to keep them fluffy, to keep them moist, you want to just mix it till everything is combined and then stop. On to the cooking process. Time to get this show on the road. It's time to cook these pancakes. I'm using a pat of butter and just some oil, vegetable oil, canola oil. And I want to have about 1 to 2 tablespoons of some type of oil in my skillet. I'm not using a cast iron. Sometimes those are trial and error. You got to lose a few before you gain a few. So I'm just going to use my nonstick skillet with that butter and that oil. And I'm adding in roughly 1/4 to 1/2 cup of the batter. Now you do want to make sure you warm your oil to about a medium-high heat for about 2 minutes before you add in the batter. And just to show the chocolate chips, I'm adding a couple on top just for show, just a couple little bonus chips on each one. And I'm going to let these cook on each side for about 2 minutes. You'll know it's time to flip your pancake when you see little bubbles come to the top of the surface. So about 2 minutes on each side is how long you want to cook the pancake, how long I cook the pancake. Definitely keep an eye on them. You definitely want about a medium-high heat. Can't be too high, can't be too low. So you want about a medium-high heat. Keep an eye on it. When you see those bubbles start to pop up through the batter, it's about time to flip. So I'm going to show you the process as I cook this first pancake. Now what I will say is this batter made about a dozen pancakes. So that's definitely enough to feed 4 to 5 people. But I didn't make them all in the skillet. I made a few in the skillet. If you have a griddle, feel free to use your griddle where you can make 6 to 8 at a time. But for the first few, I feel you get your best flavor. You get your best crispness on. See those little nice crispy brown edges right in the skillet. You want to have that fat. You need that butter. You need that oil to get those nice crispy edges. I'm filling it just to make sure it's cooked, it's well done. Looking on the bottom, that looks wonderful. That pancake is complete. Once again, thanks for coming in the kitchen. Thanks for cooking with me. I hope you do try this recipe. If you do, let me know. Drop it in the comments. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. Always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Until the next video, you have a blessed day and a blessed week. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.